Hey guys, welcome to yet another live stream on Balloon Head Productions. I'm your host, as usual. My name is Marcelo Nostroza, and this evening I'll be talking about Star Trek Strange New Worlds, Season 2, Episode 7, entitled Those Old Scientists. But, as usual, I don't know if you guys can hear that in the background, but that is a fire alarm because I live right next to a fire station. Anyway, but as usual, as it's been for most of this season, I will not be all by my lonesome talking about this episode. I'll be joined once again by my friend PJ. Welcome back, PJ.
Thank you for having me. I hope the fire's not too bad.
Yeah, no. Yeah, well, it's just my luck. We just hopped on here a couple minutes ago, and this didn't happen during our little pre-game discussion, but it had to happen right now when we're starting on the air. So, guys, this never happens on my live streams. It hasn't happened
It's not
too
too
often,
bad.
so
It's not too
bad.
loud.
So it's all right. So we'll just just give it a couple more minutes, and then it should subside. I hope. I never understood. I mean, here's a little. I never understood why firehouses had to like wake up the entire neighborhood when they had an emergency. I never understood that as a kid. I still don't as an adult. I
It's so
don't.
cars can get out of the way when they're approaching.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, you're probably right. I will just give it a couple more seconds because I don't want to. I don't want to talk over it. So
It's not that loud. Your voice is way more
louder
dominant
than
than
it.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, there it goes. So, in episode 7 of Strange New Worlds, the much awaited, hyped up episode happens where Star Trek Lower Decks crosses over with Strange New Worlds with Captain Pike and our beloved crew. This episode starts off really in a really interesting way because it starts off animated with Beckett, Boimler, Tandy, and Rutherford going to investigate a portal on a planet. And when they go to investigate the portal on the planet, they discover that the portal has this element that hasn't been seen in decades, right? And then through some scientific rigmarole, they turn on the portal by accident. Rutherford tries to take a picture of Boimler standing next to the portal, but the flash sort of activates the portal. Boimler gets sucked through the portal, but and when he comes out the other side, he comes out as live action Boimler in the Strange New Worlds timeline, where Captain Pike #1 and La'an are, if I'm not mistaken. So, just by that setup, PJ, what do you think of the start of this episode?
Well, it's a first for a Star Trek episode to open up as animated and then convert like he's leaving Toontown to go to the live action world. And there's a mix of that too. Like the opening credits are an animated version.
Yep.
Then you have the end where the Strange New Worlds crew is in 2D. So much so that they even pointed out this episode.
Yeah.
This episode is the most meta Star Trek episode I think that exists. Right up until I think episode 9, when it's just going to be so surreal. It's a weird thing. It's Lower Decks is a certain tone, and when you transport cartoon characters of that type, fast talking, and it's the Naked Gun kind of like airplane spoof world that they come from, where Star Trek is like a franchise that they're fans of. That's what it's like. It's very self-referential and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you put them in this world, it's like, hey, I'm from the future. I can't contaminate the timeline. Oops, I keep saying things over and over and over again that I'm not supposed to. And not only that, the irresponsible crew of the Enterprise are kind of probing, especially Una. She wants to know, like, what's up with her. And it's like,
well,
Jesus,
yeah,
if you don't, and even at one point Boimler's like, I don't care about the future. I want to help the people now. It's like,
right.
yeah, it didn't matter anyway. Like, none of this matters in terms of, like, time travel bullshit. It all works itself out unless the plot needs it not to.
Right. So I take it that I take it that you weren't such a big fan of this episode because it had time travel. It had time travel. Timey wimey bullshit in it, and and you haven't been shy with episodes that we've talked about in the past. You haven't been shy to point out that you're kind of tired of the time travel thing within Star Trek.
And that's the thing. Look at Picard season 2. After Picard season 2, I was like, at that point when Picard was like, oh, I remember there were bullet holes in this wall the whole time, so everything's working out. I'm like, no, I'm done with all this paradoxal, like, the rules. No, there's no real rules. It's whatever the writers want it to be in terms of, like, how things work out. They mentioned the butterfly effect in the episode, yet he still blurts out shit like Pike's birthday and
Right.
when Mariner shows up, she's like, yeah, says to Una, yeah, he's got a poster of you, and then at the end she's like, you're the poster girl for Starfleet, and it's like, what? It's just okay, and that joke wears thin. The whole, I like Boimler, like his little funny walk, and he screams, and
His Section 31 walk, yeah.
Spock's pretty funny in it. I like Spock.
So, if I could, one thing that I really liked about this episode is I liked the fact that I got to see a live action version of Mariner and Boimler because it's a little known secret, folks. My favorite live action Star Trek since Alex Kurtzman has took it over is Lower Decks. So to see two of my favorite characters from my favorite current Star Trek series that's on the air right now be come to live action, played by the same voice actors who voiced them in the animated series, I just think was absolutely amazing. I really didn't have that much of a problem with how much Boimler was sort of fast talking and sort of saying that, oh, he can't fuck with the timeline, he can't do this, he can't do that, because I thought that the way Boimler
You're frozen. I don't know if that's on my end or what. Okay, Marcelo's computer is frozen, and it's just me. If I'm gonna pick up what Marcelo was talking about, when Boimler and Mariner are transported to the live action world, they slow down a bit, just a little bit, so they're not as fast as they are in the animated series. And I can take Boimler being kind of incompetent and an idiot, because in the animated show, the characters are always just as stupid as they need to be until they're not, to resolve the issue. And Boimler constantly... Hey. Yeah, you're back. Okay, good.
Okay, yeah, sorry, folks. But what were you saying, PJ, before I left you for a second?
I was saying, like, the fast talking isn't an issue, because when they transport them to live action, especially Mariner, they're toned down a bit. They're clearly they're exactly the same characters from the show. There's no... I mean, they look like they're characters.
Right.
So that works. But especially Mariner is like, she has that conversation with Uhura. And that's another thing, too. It's all this episode is to me is the characters fanboying and fangirling over the era, and the Strange New Worlds crew kind of like digging it And I'm like, no, this isn't right.
No, actually, no,
But then again, if you had to sequester them, isolate them, as you should have done
right,
in that kind of protocol,
right,
there
but
wouldn't be
I
an
would,
episode. You need an, and it's loosey goosey. It's fun. It's like winking at the
yeah,
camera, and that's not what I want. But
yeah,
I can appreciate the the comical moments here, like Pike's annoyance, and I didn't like Una's curiosity. I thought it was anytime the characters were like probing a bit. I'm like, no. Even when Spock goes to Nurse Chapel in the elevator, he's like, Spock smiled, and I think I may have been responding. And it's like, oh, this is all
right,
feels so forced. Like
okay,
it's like we don't need to be explained to as an audience why Spock is the in between. We get it already. You don't need to keep hammering the point home. If it was just the whole smile thing, like, and it was a throwaway line, yeah, well, he's experimenting more with his emotions at this time. That stuff worked, like the creepy smile and the part where him and Boimler are experimenting, and the thing, Boimler's like, are sparks bad? And Spock's like, yes. And he walks away, seek cover.
yeah,
Ethan Peck is like much funnier because he plays it more, he plays it straight.
right,
As in charades, like they really went for the petulant teenager fucking vibe, which really felt so like an SNL skit, and then that's what a lot of this, some of this season feels like. It feels separate from the serious side of the show that I like, and it gets into these like goofy, it's just like really silly territory where even the characters are rolling their eyes at the situation, like this is absurd. And I know people, you could be on board with that and be like, I'm going to embrace this. Like I like that Tribbles short that everybody hates, because I don't even look at that as like part of real. That to me is like a live action cartoon. That thing.
okay,
This is the same thing, but in the this is not a short. This is an episode in canonical Trek, and it just I kind of want to.
for you.
Doesn't work, but I do like Jack Quaid and Tawny Newsome.
Tiny Newsom, yeah.
Even
No,
even Dawn Lewis could play a live action version of herself.
yeah, look, I understand that. I understand that the humor obviously didn't work for you in this episode, and I understand that you, for a couple weeks now, have been wanting like, wanting the series to sort of stabilize itself, because a lot of people have been saying that this season is sort of bipolar, because like one week we get like a really serious episode, and then the next week we get a really, goofy off the wall episode. So there's no sense of there's no sense of consistency throughout this season, because it's been it's been you know what, it's been like flavors of ice cream. There's been no consistent flavor this season, and it's kind of, I mean, all the, despite it's pretty much worked for me, I could see how it couldn't work for you, for various reasons here or there or what have you.
Yeah, I think it's funny because the movies kind of had this trend, which isn't real now. It's an old trope about the odd number Star Trek movies are the weaker ones,
Yeah,
and the even numbered ones are the more entertaining ones. Certainly, what's going on in this season of Strange New Worlds. One is not bad. 3 I don't like. I don't like 5, and I don't like 7. Isn't that funny? How I love I love 2. 2 is the best one of the whole fucking series.
2 is great, yeah.
4 is not bad, and then 6 is decent.
It's okay.
Decent.
It's okay.
It's going down, like my enthusiasm. The season's not getting better for me. You know what I mean? It's kind of like fading off, and I kind of. It's hard to watch. I mean, look, I want to watch it collectively. You know what I mean? I just want to watch it in a bunch. So if I'm disappointed in one thing,
you could just go right next one.
Just like with episode 6 and 7, I watched them back to back as new episodes. And I was like, 6, even after 6, I was like, it was all right. But compared to 7, I was like, oh, it's actually not bad at all.
Not
really,
that
but
bad.
it's just not that exciting. It's and this whole thing with Kirk, who's gonna be back again, not in this episode,
Oh.
but he's gonna, you know.
Yeah, look. If you guys have watched if you guys have watched our other reviews from this season, you guys know that I have a problem with Kirk, and PJ has a problem with Kirk, and the fact that he just keeps
I
popping
don't,
up.
dude. I don't have a problem with Kirk. I said
No,
last time.
I'm sorry. That was a wrong issue. You have like an issue with the way he's being used. Is that fair?
No, like in the third episode, which I didn't really like. I thought him and La'an were good together.
Yeah. Okay.
Even though that's like not the canonical Kirk, and then she messages the real guy, and him with Uhura last episode was good.
Right.
I just think it's curious. What I brought up before is that you have a show about Pike, and they're continuing the trend of shoehorning in legacy characters into your so-called original or semi-original shows. Discovery. We're not going to have Spock.
Right,
we're not going to have
yeah.
Pike. Season 2.
Oh,
Spock
guess
and Pike.
what?
Let's get a spin-off, everybody said. Look at Picard Season 3, which I'm not going to complain about this, but what happens at the end of that, people are like, that's a spin-off right there. Do it.
Yeah.
And they don't even have a plan for that. They don't even have
not yet.
But here with Strange New Worlds, Kirk, that Kirk, not canonical Kirk, but that same actor made an appearance in the season finale last time, and he's made 2 appearances so far in this season, with another yet to come. I'm just wondering, are they setting up a backdoor kind of deal with this because they know the trend? They say, if we put a legacy character in one of these shows, we can like create the next show. It worked with Pike and Spock. It might work with Paul Wesley. And I think Anson Mount as a character, I can't say he's underused, but it is one of these deals where each person is getting more of a focus.
Older.
Like the main character isn't necessarily the main character, even though episode 4 was Pike centric.
Right. No, but I do believe I do believe that this season, more than last season, is having sort of like this Michael Piller sort of effect where each week it's like, okay, you get an episode, and then you get an episode. It's similar to sort of the TNG kind of operating thing, or what TNG used to do. So I for me personally, that's what I'm sort of picking up. I do agree with you in that Pike seems to be there, but there seems to be the focus doesn't seem to be so much on him this season. Which is odd, but okay.
He does get a good amount of screen time with Boimler and Mariner.
Yeah.
There's that whole there's a nice scene where, again, they're hinting at like, Pike, you should celebrate your birthday because you never know, and it's like, you just keep doing it. You're
Stop
annoying.
Boimler
as a character is more annoying in this episode. Excuse me, I'm spitting.
That's okay.
I'm so angry. No, I'm not angry.
No, not angry.
He's so annoying in this episode. I see why that show would not work as a live action.
No,
like Lower Decks live action would not work. This episode, however, I think would have worked way better if this was an all animated Lower Decks episode, and the live action show references the events in between episodes, like previously on Star Trek. The Strange New Worlds animated recap from Lower Decks. It's just, I don't know. It's, to me, the Lower Decks world is Naked Gun, Airplane, spoof Phil, winking at the camera, very self-aware, knows it's almost like they've watched every episode of Star Trek. That's what it seems like. Or at least, not everybody, but at least Boimler.
Right. No, I No, I really believe that this episode of Stranger Worlds is the most Lower Decks episode that that they've ever done. I don't know if they intentionally did that, but to me, it just
It
the
kind of had to be, I
humor,
guess, right?
yeah, yeah, you know, the humor, the bits, and all that. Let me ask you this: what did you think of like the overall solution about how they end up activating the portal again, and they come up with this they come up with this thing that they need a specific element from a starship, and Boimler says that this element can be found on old starships, and then I don't know who says it, but someone says that when a new ship is commissioned, a piece from its predecessor gets put into it.
Pike says that,
So
yeah.
yeah. So that's how they end up fixing the portal to send Beckett and Boimler back to Lower Decks Land. What did you think of that stuff?
Yeah, I thought this is another thing. This story is
This
just
little
time travelers. Oh, gotta get them. Oh, Orion stole the thing. We gotta find them. Oh, we're gonna send them back. Oh, Mariner's there. It's dull, and it's all supposed to be funny. We're supposed to say, "Oh, this is like a sitcom,"
oh,
but it didn't. It doesn't. It didn't work for me.
okay.
But like I said, some of the stuff worked, like the
Worked pretty
Spock,
good.
Pike's annoyance. I like the whole Orion thing, although I find it curious that even a captain of a Federation starship doesn't know Orions do science or something. Like, what's that about? Like, oh, do they even have science ships? It's like saying, do Klingons even like uh, make the like build ships? Like, who's built? You know, Tendi says like, who do you think builds the ships? Like,
Right, right at the beginning of the episode, yeah.
we're just as future or advanced as other species in the galaxy in terms
Hmm.
of like space travel and sustaining, your complex technological society. Why would anyone assume that they're all pirates? I think that's a crude generalization of like, or an allegory about prejudice. That in TOS times, Orions were just like sex slaves or pirates,
Right,
and
right,
that was like the be all and end all of it. And then I think Enterprise expanded on it, where like we found out the women were, it was a matriarchy
right.
where the women were dominant and the men were subservient.
Subservient.
Uh, and they touch on that in Discovery as well. But even though it's stupid, I do like at the end when Pike's like, as far as history is concerned, you discovered it. Because at the beginning of the episode, the animated segment where Tendi is like arguing with Boimler about
Yeah,
who
about her.
discovered it, I'm like,
Yeah.
why is that not clear in history?
Hmm.
It's like she knows the altered timeline that's about to happen when he goes back, and
Right.
he knows like the actual one that was before he messed up. It never makes any sense anyway.
Yeah.
Because
But anyway, but anyway, the one thing I will say is that time travel, guess what? Never makes any sense at
no,
any
never.
time.
But
So I mean,
don't do it 2 and 3 times in one season. Like, that's insane. Like,
yeah,
some of us aren't fans of it. Okay.
yeah. The one thing that I will say, the only thing that I did not like about this episode, is the whole thing when Boimler, was sort of panicking about Spock laughing, and Boimler's insistence to figure out why he was laughing, and then you mentioned it, that the scene of the turbo lift, right? And I really didn't like that Boimler sort of like put a wedge in between Chapel and Spock. Look, I understand that their relationship might not last forever, but as a fan of those two, I would like to see their relationship last as long as humanly possible before they're going to do whatever they're going to do with it. So that really annoyed me, but whatever.
Technically, they could, if they wanted to, have
could.
them be in a relationship until the show ends.
They could, yeah.
Because just as long as at the end, it's a bad breakup.
Yeah, it has to hurt.
Because it has to hurt because it will make more sense. Because in the original series, you never get the sense that they were in a relationship. You just get the sense that she pines for him. Like she
and
just...
that's it.
What's that thing? Unrequited love.
Unrequited love, yeah.
She yearns, or something.
She yearns for him. Yeah.
But you can make it so that she's like that because she was madly in love with him and he just couldn't deal with her or something.
He couldn't deal with it.
That's why you get that episode. I think it's a mock time where she brings him a tray of food. He's like, I don't want this shit, and he throws it.
Yeah.
He doesn't say that.
Yeah, that's right. Oh my god,
get the fuck out of
here. That's so mean.
And she's like, oh.
Yeah. That's so mean.
I'm exaggerating, obviously, but
that's very, no, but look, you're absolutely right. They could be in a relationship to the end of the series, but if they're gonna play it that way, they have to, they have to break them up before the series is over, I guess.
It would kind of make sense in terms of Spock because now there's a lot of off-screen Spock we haven't seen, so we don't know how many relationships he's been in. But in the show, he does have TOS. He does have romantic encounters, but it seems like that's not a thing that's a regular deal for him. And he's more shut off, more Vulcan, and that's what Boimler's pointing out. He's like, I know. Boimler's basically saying, I watched TOS, and Spock wasn't doing this stuff.
Yeah, Spock was.
It's kind of like a commentary on the complaints of some of the canonistas,
right.
Which Jesus, with canon already, like the whole thing with episode 3, and like we're gonna move the eugenics war up.
Oh yeah, that's
like,
right.
Stop revisiting it. Just
stop it.
They keep thinking, we keep referencing what came from technically the best Star Trek movie, which is Wrath of Khan. Right. That's the best one, right? Let's keep picking from that and eventually destroying the legacy of that movie till it's like it's just a shadow of its former self. It'll never change. It's still a great movie.
It's still great.
But like Into Darkness, Enterprise did some stuff with it that I wasn't interested in with Brent Spiner playing another relative. Picard season 2, for fuck's sake. And then this show. And it's like, stop. Stop.
We should actually retell this episode to the episode where these two guys complain about everything. It's okay. It's okay. It's all right. Anyway, do you have any closing thoughts that you'd like to say about this episode or about the episodes moving forward that I know you're not too excited about?
Well, real quick, just these are my closing thoughts. There was a show called Happy Days. I'll get to a point here.
Okay.
And as it was going along, they kind of ran out of stories. So then they came to an episode like, Jesus, what are we going to do? Let's have the Fonz ski jump over a shark.
Oh my god! Oh yeah,
because that's we're done. We have no idea what to do next, and that's the downfall of that show, right? And anytime a show loses ideas or just does like whatever, it's called jumping the shark. Now, I wouldn't say those old scientists is one of those episodes that jumps the shark. It's pretty close. But I assure you that episode 9 will jump the fucking moon. Forget about the shark. However, I do think episode 8 will be good. Isn't that weird? Like,
so weird.
Like, it's like I know certain episodes will probably be good that I'll like, but I know other ones are going to be like, what the fuck is this? And it's like they've deliberately done this pattern of silly, serious, silly, serious. And it's like, this is very curious. If I was Spock, I would be like the raised eyebrows, like fascinating.
Sorry, guys. PJ always makes you laugh. I'm sorry. It's a fucking jump over the fucking moon. No, look. As I compose myself here, just for just a second, I really think that PJ has a point. Because he goes, 1 week serious, the next week funny, then, another week serious, the next week funny. It goes back to what I was saying when I think that this series is like, well, somebody else said that this season looks like it's bipolar because it's like it doesn't know it kind of like doesn't know what it wants to be. So yeah, who knows what kind of episodes that we have left in the season, but we do know that we have one episode coming up that's either going to divide the fan base or going to make everybody love the show, and I don't know what's going to happen. That's the musical episode that we have coming up here.
And musical episodes of risky time travel episodes are always stupid to me.
Yeah.
And just to clarify, I'm only irritated by time travel that goes backwards. When people go back in time, and it's like creating other timelines or paradox shit. It's like, no, I don't want it anymore. I don't, I'm done. Although I can accept what's come before, it's just at this point I'm done with it. But I don't mind instances where they jump to the future.
Right.
If people just all of a sudden are in like 100 years in the future, I think that makes perfect sense. Because you don't have to worry about paradoxical shenanigans.
Bullshit, yeah. All right, guys. So, PJ, before we say goodbye here, if the folks on the interwebs would like to catch up with you and your shenanigans online, will be the best place for them to do that on?
You can find me on X. Are we calling it X now, or is it Twitter?
No, it's Twitter for me. I'm not going to call it X.
Twitter X.
Twitter, yeah, Twitter X. There you go, Twitter X.
Twitter X.
Yeah.
Find me on Twitter X at BoatWreck1 or on YouTube BoatWreck. I'm doing my Jeff Goldblum impression now.
Yeah.
And what's the other one? PJ's channel.
PJ's channel. Yep. No, guys. If you like PJ on these reviews, check out his channels. They're great. Specifically BoatWreck, because he has watch-alongs on there that I'm often on. So go check those out. Give him some love and give him a subscribe. But thank you so much for being here, PJ.
Thank you.
All right, guys. So that'll do it for this live discussion about this specific timey-wimey episode of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. But if you guys want to catch me and my adventures online, you can follow me on Twitter or X at CreekFanatic88. But as I often say, as always, until next time, I'll see you when I see you.
So much happened here, and so much is about to.